Hi, this is Art Cook. I'm going to give you a quick recap of my August newsletter that will come out later on this month. I wrote it on Wuhan's butterfly effect on supply chain. And what I'm talking about is that day or the first, what happened in Wuhan back in October, November, December of 2019, that first group of people that got sick with COVID-19, and how that first cough, that first sniffle had a butterfly effect, or a how it drastically changed everything that's going on today within supply chains. In my July newsletter, I talked about supply chain disruptions and what you can do to prevent them. Uh, that's all well and good, and it needs to be done. But a simple issue that turned into a pandemic, a major effect in the world, completely changed our lives. And it's very interesting to see some of the interrelations. So just in case you don't know what the butterfly effect is, it's part of chaos theory, and it's a phenomenon whereby a minute localization change in a complex system can have large effects everywhere else. And that's where I'm referring to the first people that got sick, the sneeze or the cough that occurred, how it had a ripple effect a year and a half, close to 2 years later, where we're having uh, major disruptions throughout different ports of the world, different regions of the world, and different supply chains. So it's very interesting concept, but just basically that's my thought, and how that effect impacted and created the bullwhip effect on PPE, our use of toilet paper. I just kind of mentioned what happened within the swim lanes of food products, where before the pandemic, we had a wonderful swim lane where food products was going to institutions and restaurants, and we had a separate swim lane of products going to our homes. But all of a sudden, when the pandemic hit and we were ordered to stay at home, it kind of it switched. So the swim lane where there's a lot of product going to restaurants and a little bit of product going to homes, all of a sudden switched to where a lot of product was going to homes and a little bit or no product was going to restaurant. And what happened is there's completely different suppliers through that. And it took 4, 5, 6 weeks to work that out. And it did get worked out with little spoilage, or was spoilage, but holy cow, if you look at the magnitude of what happened, they fixed it. Going all the way through, if we had the Great American or the Great Texas Freeze earlier in 2021, and we also had the Suez Canal blockage, those individual items themselves would have had a regional effect on the supply chains for the products that got stuck at that point in time. But because we're going through the pandemic, they had an international effect. Then I kind of talk a little bit about what's going on in the United States, the fact that our ports are backed up. And there's a feeling that the ports are backed up due to demand. It's not necessarily the case. The reason why the ports are backed up is that we have a shortage of drivers. And this is something that's been predicted for probably 2 decades, that we're going to have a shortage of drivers. Never really materialized. But I feel with the pandemic, many drivers that got sidelined for a short period of time decided to stay home longer or retire because they liked being closer to their spouse, their children, and their grandchildren. Then in addition to that, besides people staying home or the shortage that they're talking about, the what is it? Let me look at this, right. The the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has sidelined over 60,000 CDL drivers due to alcohol and drug abuse issues. And what's interesting, coincidentally, that's basically the exact same number that we're short. So you take those in effect, that yes, our ports are backed up, but we're short drivers, we're short the the carriages that intermodal containers go on, and warehouse space is short. So that's why ships are backed up at port, and that's not going to get fixed until we fix the downstream supply chain effect. So what's happened is, by having COVID go through the environment, individuals decided to stay home, and they got familiar with their family, which is good, but we lost a key element. So those are some of the things I just kind of talk about in this idea of the butterfly effect, and that single sneeze and that single cough that happened October, November, December in Wuhan, and how it is impacting the supply chains today with a butterfly effect that we're going to work through. We will work through it. It will come to an end, but it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 months out. So just some interesting, that's where my mind is at and what I was thinking about with writing that. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions, and look me up and talk to you soon. Thanks a lot and have a wonderful afternoon.